Today, we're debunking the vile myths created about my generation. And for you lovely people, I have prepared 4 different categories in which we get judged on the most. Workforce, finances, school, and social skills. So let's get into this. Workforce. So one of the biggest complaints I've seen boomers have is too little efforts, that we just don't really care about our jobs, we don't really work hard, this, that, and the third, right? Now, here's the thing. We don't get the same quality of life for the same amount of work, right? So, do I think that Grandpappy John would have been fucking working his ass off for minimum wage if it only got him a room and maybe a Chick-fil-A meal at the end of the month? No. The reality is, we are not getting the same for the money or the time that we invest into these companies. Therefore, it makes no sense to have the same loyalty and same care towards these companies. Now, mind you, I do believe that there are some people in Gen Z that are very lazy and that are very entitled. I don't think that that is not the case with some people. I just don't think it's the vast majority of people think it is. Mind you, when people say Gen Z, they usually think a kid that grew up with an iPad in their hand. I was born right before, 9/11, right? We didn't have iPads. But for some reason, you folks believe that some kid born in the 90s had an iPad as his first toy growing up. It's just not the same, and I feel like there's a very generic situation being placed upon all of us. Now, another thing to take into account, going back into the whole job situation, so I don't think the CEO of a major company really needs a 6th year. I think with 5, I think they're good. You know what I mean? And you might be like, why does there have to be the limit? See, because the system needs to work for everyone to want to participate in it, right? Or to do their part in it. But at the end of the day, it's not that the money isn't there. It's not that the quality of life is impossible to provide. It's that these people don't want to pay this new generation of workers for them to have the same things you did. Therefore, fuck them. I don't know in what part of this we get, a little lost, but that's my take on that. This is the most educated generation in history, yet we're the poorest. You have to understand that at some point, to some level, that affects people a different way than when you grew up. And you have to understand that it's not the same world that you grew up in. And probably if we had grown up in the world that you grew up in, frankly, I'm sorry I'm going to be this way, but we'd probably be ahead of a lot of you, because we would have been raised with your parents' values, right? And on top of having your parents' values, we would have our education. But no, we weren't raised on your parents' values, we were raised on yours. Now, the second thing that I've seen that people really judge a bunch about Gen Z is the whole financial situation, right? This stems from the whole in the workforce thing, right? Oh, they're entitled. They ask for too much. Yeah, we have the audacity to ask for a livable wage. Ugh, we suck. So in finances, we're even worse, honestly. We're the bottom of the barrel when it comes to humanity as a whole. So it says, basically, we spend all of our money on Starbucks, right? On just stupid expenses. Okay. So I want you to know, I pay $1,400 for a studio apartment that is 400 square feet. Not a nice one. It is not a nice apartment. I have seen cockroaches in my coffee twice. We make coffee daily. It's not that it's sitting there. No, this is brand spanking new coffee. It all went to shit because there was a cockroach in it. And I'm sorry. No. And I get just surprised by cockroaches just waving at me from the back of my cabinet in the kitchen. So forgive me if I may be so brash. It's expensive as out here, man. It's not easy to try and get a livelihood down here. All right, it's rough. And you know what? I'm in Florida. There are more expensive places than Florida. Now, I'm in South Florida. Let me clarify before people from Tallahassee come at me, right? I'm in Southern Florida, South Florida. It is rough out here, dude. Like, Southern Florida is rough to live in. And this isn't even a fraction of what it costs to live in New York. So, when you think about it, like, dude. Like, it can be hard. It can be hard, right? But if I'm making more than the average person my age, and this is my situation, I can't imagine what other folks are going through. Now, mind you, you can be very fortunate and have the friends and have the contacts and have all this stuff, right? But I'm talking about just the average person. I'm still lazy, right? Because apparently, you know, I just, I went to college and did my thing, and it's all my fault, man. It's definitely my fault that wages have not outgrown rent, or at least stayed on par with rent. You could sustain a family of 5 with one income back in the day, all right? Mortgage rates are higher. Car loan interest rates are also garbage. Then it takes $400 to feed 2 people that buy shit from Aldi and Walmart. Oh no, God forbid I want to go to school or I'm sick. Because, no, we don't get sick here. No. I know y'all had to deal with that, but at least y'all had a house, right? Now I got to deal with it and I don't have a house. So, excuse me that I'm not through. Now, what's coming next is going to be a little different because I'm going to be covering people that don't work. I'm going to be covering my little Gen Zers, the little baby ones that are just, you know, they're making it out there. Right? We're still in school. One of the main complaints I've seen is that kids are very distracted, they're disrespectful, it looks like they have no interest in learning. Okay, so the parents of Generation Z are Generation X, Millennials, and Baby Boomers. My question for these people was, where the fuck were you? Y'all raised this generation, but then, this generation is so horrible. Yeah, we are the result of your parenting. So if you, instead of being a mom or instead of being a dad, if you just wanted to take the quick way out and give your kid an iPad, and now the kid is super distracted in school and now the kid can't learn because all they've seen is a bunch of just bullshit videos just feeding them all day, constantly just quickly changing, messing up their attention span. If you maybe had got up your ass instead of leaving Billy there with that iPad, well, maybe Billy would do better in school. If you had taken the time you took to go buy that iPad to teach Billy how to behave, to teach Billy about life, to have Billy develop actual skills he needs to develop to survive in the world, maybe it wouldn't be so messed up. But since you didn't do your job as a parent, now we have a whole part of a generation that is screwed. And mind you, we're still talking about Gen Z. I can't imagine what Gen Alpha is gonna be. And mind you, this affects you in things that you don't even think that it affects you, right? Because you know that whole movement towards everything being censored? Who do you think pushed for that? The parents of Generation Z and Generation Alpha. The parents. Y'all literally called up your schools every time y'all heard a bad word and then went to complain to YouTube when they didn't censor those words, or Coca-Cola when they didn't censor those words, or whoever, right? Now, you're surprised that your children are super sensitive. Now you're shocked. You're just beyond baffled that these kids are like, oh my God, my heart hurts. Like, yeah, dude, like you never roughened them up for anything. And it's important, like a level of struggle is important because the child will struggle. And if you do not teach them how to deal with struggle, the child will then be a struggling adult. But no. Yep, no, that it's all Gen Z's fault, right? Oh no, what a shitty generation. But we censored everything, and then now we bitch about censorship. We move on to something super crucial to a person's life, which would be social skills. They don't know how to talk to people. Gen Z has a way of saying things that, just doesn't make sense. How would they learn to talk to people if instead of taking the child to a play date or to a party or to a little event, or to whatever, you decided to hand them your phone because you were too busy getting your nails done, or you were too busy looking at that TV system at Best Buy. But now, now the kid has social problems. They can't socialize, or they socialize weird. We don't understand them. Well, yeah, dude, they socialize completely differently to you because they were raised in a completely different environment, and we socialize in ways y'all didn't even dream of when y'all were kids, right? It hit me later in life, but at the end of the day, like, it did hit me during my childhood. I just didn't have my immediate childhood be flooded by iPads and TikToks and content like that. I went out and rode the bike. But the reality is, what we grew up in, y'all could have never imagined. When you messed up, it was fine because no one was taking a constant camera with them to try and record you and try to see you mess up, right? No one had social media to post about their opinions about how stupid you looked that day, right? You didn't ever have to live with that. And there has been psychological studies showing how social media has impacted the way our generation works, because the pressure is higher because we're constantly seeing things that we may perceive as quote unquote better than us. Like, dude, there's a whole science behind the bullshit that you created that we grew up in that y'all don't even make an effort to understand. And to me, that is baffling. You never know what another person is going through. And you don't know that if they're your same age. And you expect to relate to kids that are 20, 10, 15 years your junior? I feel like we're a generation that we want to do good. I just feel like we were promised a lot and then got not a lot of what we were promised. And I assume this is the same thing that happens to millennials, right? But you have to understand, this is a whole different world, not millennials. Like, now all of us are educated. You know what I mean? Like, now, dude, I mean, social media is now, like, in our DNA at this point. Like, y'all saw it when y'all were, like, late teenagers. We were kids, right? It's just not the same now, you know? And the preparation is not the same. The amount of competition is not the same. Multiple factors. The way that the job market hasn't really grown with population either, right? So it's a lot of things. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of my my spiel on this shit. So if you listen through this, kudos. Whew, you deserve a gold star. And if you didn't listen through this, well, I understand. All right, y'all, take care.